I'm going to talk about grant proposal writing. Why do people write grant proposals? Research specifically. Improvement. Paying the participants. What else? Software. You're going to use to buy your time. For your time working on a project. And by the way, even if you decide, let's say you decide that you don't want to go the academic route. Let's say you want to work for a nonprofit agency. You could still end up writing grant proposals to help that nonprofit agency get the things that they need. So for example, as part of the class I taught, we got 12, 15 years ago, my undergrads, as part of their assignment, had to help the Red Cross write a proposal to get a car for an agency. So it's not always research driven. So even if you decide the academy is not for you, it doesn't mean that learning how to write grant proposals is not important. So raise your hand if you are ready today to write a grant proposal.
I could, but I have to be.
What wording for? Is there to turn around looking at hours? Not ready to go? It's okay not to be ready today. It's okay not to be ready this week. But you can and you should be ready today. To learn. In this department, what you to learn in this department that will position you to write a stellar grant proposal that will launch your program of research. What do you need in order to facilitate that learning? What are some things that you think you might need? This is going to be interactive, nothing's going to be recorded. An example. How do you think, what's a way to get one of those? What's a way to get some of those? Yeah. Yes. May I see your proposal? Not everyone will say yes. But there's another way to get it, especially if they've written their proposal and submitted it to a federal agency. How do you get it? If it's all, yes, it's already been approved and funded, there's a way to get it from the federal agency. You write to them. And they'll send you a copy.
And sometimes on the website will have examples for you.
Yes. Now, some people are hesitant to give you copies of theirs because they don't want their ideas just out there. But if you get it from the funding agency, and let's say you copy it, they can say, I never gave them my proposal. Therefore, I have no idea how they got my exact words. And that's why some people do not give you copies of their personal proposals. Funding agencies will often think that if someone has your ideas in that proposal that you shared with that person, that you were in some way giving them permission to use your ideas in your words. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. But it's legal to write the agency and get it. That way you are in big trouble if you use their ideas in your words.
Maybe a form of plagiarism then, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's hard to claim plagiarism if you gave me your grant and I shared your ideas. What else do you need? What do you need in order to facilitate learning how to write a book proposal?
A clear idea of research.
Yes. A very clear idea of your research ideas. How do you begin to figure out those research ideas? Yes. How do you figure out what's already been done? Research. There's that really nice part in the article that talk about future research and what should be done. Or you can say, I've never seen this done with this particular population, and I know this is not for this population. This needs to be studied. What else do you need? What else do you need to write? Or learn how to write?
Guidelines for whatever organization you're finding.
Because all the guidelines differ across the government agencies. What else do you need?
Like an itemized list of things that you're planning on using, like,
Particularly when we're working on budget, they want to see that itemized list. Yeah, so think about that ahead of time, because let's say you have a great idea, you want to make sure that the agency will pay for it, you can say, let's talk about my budget. Is this okay? This is the amount that I'm asking for, is this fine? So I worked for the National Science Foundation for 2 years, and for one person asked me basically for hardcore infrastructure. She wanted to change a building. But I can't think of that. But she knew to ask before she submitted the proposal. There are some funding agencies that yes, would pay for like hardcore infrastructure, but not the program that I worked for. We didn't have that kind of thing. What else do you need?
The scope of the project, like in the timeline, how much time do you need, and what do you plan to do in that time?
I think that time is important.
That's one of the big problems. Everything for me is this and that.
Raise your hand if you just, you know, you are an awesome writer. You are improving your writing skills. That's key. Long before you even start thinking about writing a proposal, you can start honing your writing skills, and you can start doing that today. So how can we do that? What can you do to hone your writing skills? Yes, that's exactly what I had written down.
I was reading like
Sorry.
grad school, it does like set, like 10, an hour, and you do like half reading literature and half writing every day, just something to do. And it happens. That was a tip on someone. For grad students.
You really need to do that, carve out that time. In my younger days, I could write late at night. Midnight, 1 in the morning, no problem.
That's terrible.
And what's productive if you're not in your
So my time is in the morning. You need to figure out what time is good for you. And it differs across people. A program of research, which you can illustrate in the form of a conceptual model or conceptual framework. So what's the difference between a program of research and a testable model? Yeah, I'm looking at second years. The difference between conceptual framework or program of research and a testable model.
the testable models are more, well, the conceptual framework is more abstract, more guiding the study, and the testable model is what you actually use for the research, like the hard actual doing of the research.
Yes. So if you're giving a job talk, you may want to present your program of research and think that conceptual model. This is what I'm going to be doing for the next 5 to 10 years. And out of that framework, you can say, I've got 20 studies right here in this conceptual framework. You don't want to present an grant proposal, your program of research. That's too much. You want to just pick to the core. What do you want to do for this project? I'm going to try to speed through this with more running a little bit late. FSoS. I'm not supposed to be encouraged, but FSoS challenging. It's anxiety provoking. And when you're anxious, you can't learn that. I can't. When you allow your personal frailties to kind of get in the way, that's the way. And we all have these personal writing frailties. We all have these weaknesses when it comes to writing. So I want you all to take a moment. Think about your primary writing weakness. Think about your primary writing weakness and jot it down. Nothing to be embarrassed about. We all have these. Think about yours and jot it down. Seconds to do that. Because we're going to go around the room. I'm not the worst. So can you just do your personal distraction for first? And then reveal my weaknesses? Yeah. Weakness. I struggled and started. Amen. I have all these ideas just swimming around in my head, and it's hard for me to get them down on that worksheet paper. Now, some people are really good at creating outlines. I'm lousy at that. So how can I get over this? How can I get over my brain?
Jamie's a good outline. Yeah, Mark McGill and I are a team, and I guess we struggle with getting started. Jamie's like, we call her the closer. She can like go like this.
I need that.
I know.
I need that. So my question was, how can I overcome? I need Jamie.
What are you talking about?
There's a message in the chat.
Oh, there's a message in the chat. Okay. Okay, I get it. There's 7. Sorry, Alex. Oh, okay. The speakers are talking at the computer. I'm still, okay. I'll try.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's see if we can.
If I do this, you listen to me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. And even if, I don't know if the computer's plugged in, but if you could just put it like I'm a person sitting in the audience, I think that might help so that you're talking at me.
Oh, I'm gonna do
Maybe if we
this.
put it there and then we can turn it around.
I'm getting closer. Is that better? Somebody
Yeah, I
talk.
think that-
Bill, say something, please.
Hello?
Hello.
She said no.
That's I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. We'll try. Yeah, that's better for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me get rid of the chat real quick. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you for working with me. I appreciate it.
And how can I get over my frailty? How can I get over my weakness?
Get support from other ladies that are strong in areas that you're not.
The big two, my problem is I'm getting started.
Schedule.
Yes. Scheduling time, knowing that it's going to take me a few days to get going, I should start a few days earlier. I should really just sit down and try to get, if I can't get an outline down, just get my ideas down. Because once they're down, it becomes more concrete. I'm better able to explain the idea to people because I've thought through enough to actually write it down. There's some program directors, and I was one of those, who would never speak with you unless you had written a little one-pager. And that's because I didn't want to sit on the phone with someone thinking through their ideas. You had to write it down, then you thought through it. And I could ask questions because I could see the basic idea. So now, I'm gonna go around the room.
We're fast, we're really fast, so it's like a popcorn, mine is being concise and fact, procrastination.
Okay, how can you tell them, what can you do? Start earlier, right? Okay, so we're gonna quickly, they're gonna tell us the weakness that we're gonna throw out in one way that they can solve that problem. Distraction, what can she do?
Workspace.
Yes,
Leave your phone in another room.
exactly. Do not answer the phone, stay away from email during your writing time. Weakness.
Involving the outline of getting out of stream of consciousness.
Oh, I can't help you there, that's my problem. You can start earlier, force yourself to just get the ideas down, even though it's not in outline form.
Just brainstorming on paper, for me, if I just write something down, I feel like it's in my brain now, and I'm good for it.
Some people use mind maps too, you know, and just like see where the connections, and then that becomes their outline, so.
Oh, it's supposed to be over here.
If you can flow it fast, you know, put it down in a flow chart.
I also said getting started, but like also like organizing my work. Writing it down.
And then moving it around, sometimes I used to have to put it on, yeah, sticky notes, that's what I was going to say. Because there was a time when I could not even type, I needed to write it out, and then I cut up pieces of paper and then move it around and then go back and type. I used to be low tech.
I think sometimes the physical manipulation helps too. It's a different kinesthetic approach.
For me, I also struggle with started, but I also struggle with sustaining my writing. I just get distracted for whatever reason. I'll come back to it later, and then I don't. And a tip that I actually got from Lindsay Wheeler, she said, to do your writing in the morning when your brain is refreshing, because then you wait to the end of the day, when you have time, you're like already bogged down by everything else, so that's helpful.
And everything else gets put on that priority list, except the writing.
I think it's writing ideas and details on the paper, so I find research pieces I wanted to do with the paper, just putting those in the right spot.
It's actually moving things around. Actually, with the computers, it makes it a little bit easier, but I still have to print it out and then with the full piece of paper. Never happened.
Yeah.
Right. So what can she do? She's underestimating the time. What can she do? Okay.
Right, I think you outline too, when you start writing down like what you need to do in your steps and outline, you'll start to realize how many other things you need to do.
And if you think something's going to take a week, multiply that by 3.
Yeah, I know that if you write super long sentences, that is very confusing to read. Yeah.
Okay, what can she do?
Read out loud.
Yes, edit, read it out loud. I paste, I take what I've written and I paste and I read it out loud. Used to drive my postdoc advisor crazy. Because I wouldn't whisper it to myself. It was literally reading it out loud.
I keep a FSoS.com on another tab, and every time I just have a really long sentence, I'm like, there's got to be like, this is kind of what I'm thinking, and I'll type it in there, and I like erase 4 words and put that 1 word in, so it's helping me to keep moving. Interesting.
What was that?
FSoS.com, because you know sometimes you're trying to explain, you end up writing all these words to explain it, and if I can put 1 word in layman's terms, it will give me other words that I can then connect to what I'm trying to say.
I like that idea.
It's like procrastination and being concise and structured. Very long sentences. Very long sentences.
But still write them down. Don't let that stop you. Don't get stuck on that one sentence. Okay, write it down, continue writing, and then go back and edit. And have a friend read it for you. And Alex.
Not knowing what to keep and what to let go.
What can she do? One idea. What can she do? What do you think?
Make a folder, save it. Manually in.
But then
one,
I label it sentences to keep more sentences to go back and read.
You're trying to look at it.
Yes.
Sometimes we're not good at reading our own writing.
We are not.
I usually have like a bunch of drafts and one paper, and I'll send the one paper I turned in, but then I'll save the original drafts, so I'm writing something later. I'm like, okay, I have a whole paragraph over here I never used. I can now move this paper paragraph over here. So like, I think everything. Oh, no, but
Don't delete until you absolutely know this is the end. Alex.
I think someone already said it, but just being concise is really my struggle.
Any other idea that we haven't already mentioned with regard to solving the concise problem?
She might not have heard what was suggested, so can you repeat those for Alex?
So what,
Reading it aloud,
yes,
reading it to someone else.
reading it to someone else, reading it out loud, having someone else read it for you. And you don't want someone who's like rah rah on your team. Okay, you want someone who can't stand your writing because that person's going to be the best person to redline every single sentence and make it better.
He's not like that. That was my only guy there. I was like,
So I began by telling you that I was going to talk about grants, and then I spent a lot of time talking about writing. Why? That's how you get grants. You need to write, get practice. Stephen King once said, the scariest moment is always just before you start. And that's all I got.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that because it is so important. And it ties into so many things that really make for success in graduate school. And the writing, I think it's our life. And it follows you. I mean, Sean and I'm sure it's the same. Even I've been in a little bit longer than all of you, but it still follows you till, I still procrastinate and I still, and it's because I have so many, I don't know how to I just get stuck on getting started. And, I've been at it for a while. It's still a challenge for me and I have to push myself to do it. And I have some techniques and I do the mind map and I do the outline and then I finally do it. I also find that I build a team, if I can, with people that are complementary to me. So I am a verbal processor. Here's another technique. Audio tape yourself. And then go back and listen. And it's painful, but listen to yourself. Which I've done a lot. I've explained it to my husband, his English is a second language, and he's very patient. He's from Thailand. He goes, oh, okay. Because he doesn't really know my world very well, but I just explain what I'm doing. And then, because I can do it very easily verbally. And then I go back and I write things down based on what I said. Because I process out loud. And I know that I have to do that before I got to you as a program officer, because you wouldn't handle that very well. But they're just different techniques that you can use. And if you know how you process information, I think there are a couple of things that you said in there that I just want to reiterate, because I've got 3 minutes before our guests come in. So I don't want to start on something too new. And one is, I was going to cover it in time management, is this idea of prioritizing. Miguel, you talked about finding the time that you're freshest to write. Stephen Covey wrote about time management, and many of you probably, he's old, but it's tried and true ideas that you want to plan your big rocks first, the things that are going to get you the most, that are of highest importance for you. Because what happens is all the little things will fill in. You don't put the big rocks in first, all the little things will fill in, and then you're left with these big things at a time when they become emergencies. So if you can plan for those big chunks of time, and then the rest can filter in around it. And I don't mean just schoolwork. I mean, there are things that you should plan with your kids, with your family, with your significant others, and your own self-care. So I think you're gonna have to do a little bit different planning as in your doctoral work. I think everybody's in a doctoral program. We don't have any MAs. Do this, oh, we have MAs. So you're really new to all of this life, but it's the same, and you've got a new baby. So there's a lot of things that, you know, that are gonna be new to you as you get the rhythm of this. But, you know, plan for the big things that are important. Your assistantship work, your practicum, those are you that are in clinical work. And your self-care and your relationships, coursework, and then some of the other stuff that we kind of get distracted on can filter in around those. If there's a really wonderful tool in the Google Calendar, and I would encourage you to use it as part of the suite of things that are available to you at the U of M, because there's a task, you can put tasks in there, due dates in there, and then you can go back and, you know, start to plan when you're going to, you know, 3 weeks, 3 times what you think it's going to take you to write a paper. You can put in incremental steps, you know, beforehand, so that get the lit review done, get this done, you know, start to plan it and get feedback along the way. Then you won't be rushed at the end. I think another piece in work in as a, you know, writing papers and doing coursework is finding a good way to organize. I mean, what you find, Erin, that what you said piqued my interest, because you'll read something and you go, oh my goodness, this is really an important thing. And you might not write a paper about it till like months down the road, or, you know, how can I organize so that I will remember the significant thing out of this article that relates to kind of my program of research, but not this particular study or this paper I'm writing. So finding a way to organize that and flag things, if you annotate, well, however you do it, but then finding folders that make sense to you, and storing things in that sense. That's always been a hard thing, I think, electronically for me. I tended to be, yeah, I'm a digital immigrant because of my age. So I would always use highlighters and make notes, and then I'd have to shuffle back through lots of paper. So I'm trying to get into the, you know, now with COVID, it made me do a lot more electronically. But it's still a work in progress, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that and remember all of those areas, you know. So I try to cross-reference things and put them in, you know, folders. But it's finding the system that works for you. I mean, I teach money management. You can't tell people to manage money one way and everybody's going to do it that way. It's what works best for you. So the earlier you can figure that out and follow it, the better you'll be. I think those are the big things I think that I'm building off of, and of what Chalandra said, and I think that's really, really important. Any questions for Chalandra or for just kind of in this area, because we're going to move into a little different thing and then we'll come back to some of this. Okay. Well, I see that Bosco's here. Hey, Bosco.
Hello, Kathy.
Okay, this is Bosco Chang, and he was last year's president of GRADS, which is our Family Social Science student group. And so I'm going to just let you, Bosco, introduce yourself and then tell them a little bit about what the group is about and how they can get involved, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kathy. Can you all hear me? Okay. So yeah, wow, can't believe it's, you know, I haven't been, the orientation day. It's been kind of being a little bit old in the department. Yeah, my name is Bosco, and I'm the president of the last year grads body. Usually, previously it called Sharks, you know, just like the real animal, but it changed the names. Anyway, it's a grad student body that really helps, and you know, our target group is helping the grad student himself, and then as a connection bridge with the department and also the students. And so basically, E-Tank, which will be the next year, I mean the upcoming academic year president. She will be in charge, but we are working on the transition. So today I'll be just talk briefly about it. And the good news is I know some of you have already signed up for the positions. But in short, the grads is mostly we usually meet like depends on the this year, but usually we will meet like maybe once a month or maybe twice per month on Wednesday. And then usually the meetings that is mostly catering our students, I mean our needs, I would say our needs. I think Kathy already mentioned that maybe yes, maybe not. But usually there will be some big things that's happening throughout the year. One thing is maybe the the research abstract that is probably due in November or December with all kinds of conferences, NCFR, SPR. And then you have in the spring semester, you have the fellowship applications, and then also the department award fellowship applications, and then the annual review, and then maybe you have some other things maybe along the way like manuscript or even like about the STAT classes work. So here in our meetings we can usually invite students or maybe invite faculty members to talk about all these important things and how we can address, how we can better prepare, share experiences. And then we also have some other things that cover, for instance, like TA or maybe last year it's a little bit difficult because of the COVID, but then previously we also have the survey that talk about grad student experience, and then we talk to the faculty. So in other words, like we really encourage you to join us, and then because after all the student body just help to aim to serve just us. So yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to email me, and then I will maybe detain. I know that some of you already signed up the positions, and I got some of your questions. I will answer it privately, but we are working on the transition, so things will be get done real soon. And so yeah, so stay tuned. And any questions for me at this point?
So Pasco, you said some people have already volunteered to be an officer or hold a position.
Yeah.
So who is that in first year? Is it some first year students?
I think so.
Kathy Vasquez, what
Yep.
position?
Social chair?
Oh, yay, good. That's excellent. That's excellent. So Kathy Vasquez is, so ideas. Well, we try to do some, some community building things. That's fabulous. I love it. And we will, yeah, this is great. So any ideas, you have, and then some professional development kinds of offerings as well.
This is the Council of Graduates.
No, this is grads, GRADS. And Bosco said it used to be called SHARP, as in the animal. And it's good for something that we never could remember. Students helping, knowledge was the last one. And it just didn't seem like a very welcoming acronym. So we went to grads, right, Bosco? And it's
We're not on the student organization page yet, so I got the email that I was nominated. I'm like, I didn't know this.
No. We've not registered through the U, but it's very much recognized here in the department. And Stacy and I and Sumitra will be working with whoever is in the officer groups, and we can jointly sponsor, because I will have a little bit of a budget to support professional development opportunities. In the past, we've actually tried to organize like an alumni panel about their different ways they, when they graduate. Some of them are therapists, some of them do policy work, some of them go into part-time teaching, so that might be something. I'd like to hold mock interview sessions for people that are getting ready to graduate. I mean, it's that's kind of co-curricular stuff that I think grads could be a really good partner in identifying what are the things you feel are really good things that we should be paying attention to, and then we can get speakers in. So those are the things, but also community building. So, you know, having some time for fun, and getting to know one another. And food is, I'm sure that there will be some budget that we can help you with there. So, yeah, I think, and then there's one person that's the liaison to the grad faculty meetings, and then they can bring things back. So, and then if you have issues, I know Stacy's also going to have a grad advisory board, but I'm not sure how all that will work together, but it's just another group to kind of have a voice. And as Bosco said, we every 2 years they do, it's called Grad Siru, SE, student. Oh, I never know what these acronyms stand, but anyway, they survey all grad students every 2 years. And so we worked through the grads group with someone from the graduate school to look at the family social science data. And as a result, there was a really wonderful report that was generated, which is driving our initiatives this year, which we'll share more about. So it's an important voice for grad students. And many times grad students individually don't feel comfortable raising issues or concerns or wants, because they feel like there's a vulnerability there. But as a group, you can bring some of these things to our attention, and we will work to solve the issues or make things better, or, you know, offer things, because that's what we want this, you know, program to fit your needs. Anything else, Bosco? Anybody
That's pretty
else?
much. Thanks, Abby. Sorry. Thanks, Abby, for filling in the blanks and add on to the stuff.
Yeah, is somebody else?
Just, is there any social media handles on Instagram or in this group, or is it just?
Do you have any social media handles, Bosco? On Instagram, or do you do any kind of that?
Oh, actually, we don't. Actually, we don't.
Maybe we can, that's something we could work on. Julie does a lot of that, but I think it'd be fun to do something on your own. That would be kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But I mean, that would be a good idea. I mean, just something that we can consider and bring it to the table. I mean, to the meeting and discuss. But yeah, actually we don't. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe there's, is there a position that would fit with that, or is there a new position that maybe someone could fill?
We can always negotiate with that. Plus we have some vacancy of the officer positions, and so just stay tuned with that, and then we will let you know and as well. So yeah.
Super. So Eting will be the president, so she'll probably be in communication with people pretty soon.
Yes.
Okay, super. Well, thank you for your leadership, Bosco, and for coming today. And they can look for some more information soon.
Yes. And one more thing is, usually we have the meeting on Wednesday at noon, because this is the time where students, they won't have classes. Maybe it's during the lunch break, but we will speak with the department and see how are the courses, the schedules look like, and then we will find time that works.
Yeah,
for the most of the students.
they try to find times that it doesn't conflict with some other things going on. So it's usually right after your orientation class for those of you that, are at the first year group. So you're already around. Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks,
Kathy.
Bosco.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Good to see you. Take care.
Yep, good to see you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we have now just a little bit about grad set. So I'm gonna pull up let's see, I gotta share my screen. I hope it's still where I put it. There we go. No, that's COGS. You wanna do COGS? Oh.
In your resource sheet, you have some of the information that we have. So frankly, there are a couple of student groups that would be really good for you to know. So family social sciences, like having grad calls, sponsored graduate students, have the representative coming back new. Right here, so this group represents all graduate students who will be part of. So this is at the university level, so they do advocacy, they do a lot of things
Okay, so how do I get to the, here, and then I'll let you drive because I don't know what I'm doing wrong. We don't, and, is it okay to
I guess
come here
we can,
because there's someone online? She's remote, so she can hear better if you right.
Oh, yeah, I'll try to speak up as well. Yeah. All right, so, well, nice to see everybody. My name is Nam Yu Kim. I'm a third-year international graduate student over across the parking lot at the Department of Methodology. And I'm the Director of Communications and Public Affairs for the Council of Graduate Students. And I'm here, most importantly, to tell you a little bit about what COGS is and what COGS does for you, and to answer any questions that might arise throughout this presentation. All right, and with that, I'll just get right into it. So the Council of Graduate Students, which is going to call COGS from now on, is an organization by graduate students for graduate students. And as cheesy as that may sound, it really does describe what we do in a neat single sentence. So we are an independently legally registered student organization separate from the university. And we are able to do this thanks to the $10 COGS fee that you might have noticed we paid every semester as part of the student services fee. But what this does allow us to do is do all these things here for you graduate students. We represent you on a political sense for advocacy issues. We inform you of the opportunities and goings-ons on campus. We try to facilitate communication between graduate units as well as support you throughout your journey. I think this really just sums up the three core missions that we try to follow. The first of which is supporting academic and professional needs of you graduate students, connecting graduate students across colleges and schools, and last but not least, representing graduate students in the university and beyond. And our efforts can be really divided into these three teams, I guess. First, we have the advocacy team, which, as the name suggests, we fight for and advocate for graduate student well-being and tackle issues that just pop up throughout the year on a university and outside of the universities as well. Next, we have programming, which is super crucial for the social aspect of our COGS mission. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys have been receiving the COGS emails and you've subscribed to our social media. Well, if you haven't yet, we have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so we're covered. But anyways, the programming team will regularly come up with a social and curriculum, I forget the term, but they come up with events and opportunities for you, and they will regularly inform you of these as they come. And finally, we have the very expansive grants program, which offers you funding opportunities throughout the year. And we have 3 different types of grants for that. And you can find more information on that on our website. So maybe you're curious about what happens in the official, everyday sense in COGS. Maybe you want to get involved. Perhaps the most obvious way to do this is to connect with your program representative. Each program does have a program representative, and even though how that representative is elected may depend on the program, they are essentially, well, as their name suggests, they are your representatives on the General Assembly floor, which is a monthly meeting where COGS leadership and different representatives from the various programs come together and discuss issues and other miscellaneous things. graphic is not showing, but what is not showing right now is like this breakdown of the structure of pods. And maybe I can escape from this presentation later. I can pop up it. Anyways, it's not that important. But if you want to get more involved on a personal level, first look out for all the regular communications that come out your way, but also talk to your program representatives about the issues that matter most to you. And since you are college fee paying graduate students on this Twin Cities campus, you are automatically a member of General Assembly. So if you have the time, our General Assemblies will be entirely online this semester. So if you have time, please attend. And for more information about just general COGS structural things, please forward your questions to our Director of International Relations, Jane Kinney, who will point you to the appropriate resources. All right, with that, I'll turn to you for any questions about any of this. Oh, yes, yes. I can't list them, or they might be in the notes actually. Sorry. Oh, there we go. So typically have these three types of grants. We have the career development grants, we have the conference travel grant, and need-based grants. I can't remember their descriptions off the top of my head either, but those are maximum amounts that you may be awarded each semester. So if you're interested, look into our grants website, contact their director of grants, and yeah, submit your application by, I believe, October 16th. I may be wrong on the date.
They're competitive. I mean, it's because it's university wide, so you do a really tight job of, like, you know, Solana was talking about writing it. This is really important to hone your argument and get support. But they're there. I mean, I keep not running up to the deadline, but doing a nice job of writing it. Anytime, I think, often if you write a really good statement, you can use it for multiple purposes. We have department-based grants, we have college-based grants, and then we have these university-wide grants. So they're really important.
Yeah. And on that note, I actually want to bring up the grants review team, which if you want the you want to be involved with grants related activities, if we want to behind the scene and get involved and see in figuring out what types of grants applications are the most effective. Later on this semester, we'll be sending out a call for grants review committee applications. So if you're interested, look out for that.
Any questions? So we don't know who our department is, or if we have one right now. I think Sloan was for a while. So we can find that out, right?
Yeah. And if there isn't one, it's just a simple matter of electing somebody.
And so that probably through the grad school, we can do the policy.
Exactly.
Represent. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, glad you're on St. Paul campus.
So I wander back a lot.
No, thank you. Okay, I will stop sharing. Do you want to say a little bit about the GradSed?
Yes, so GradSed is CEHT's student group. They only start in fall semester, so they have a website. They are super connected. So one is at college level, which is GradSed is at department level, COGS is at university level. That is how you understand this thing. So the GradSed, from what I've seen, is that they do a lot of grants. When I grad, they want extra other money, things like for travel and things. Again, it's complicated, but it's good. But they're more like they understand the other thing they do is programming, and they do a lot of career support kind of like things for students. So that is a good thing to be helpful, like it's helpful to you. And they also do a lot of, like, I've seen that last summer, they were doing a lot of support for students, like things, and you can suggest things. So the new leadership should come up sometime in fall, sign up for their newsletters. They have been doing things like writing support, community, like groups, bringing together student groups that can like come together and support each other. So that is, again, CEHD based, so that would be much more better for you. At COGS level, I can tell you that if you need any advocacy things, it's best to get it done. They have groups that are very need-based, like they have parent groups for students, grad students or parents. So those are things that you can find out, like how to get involved. Some of these groups have positions that are paid, so you get a stipend if you're involved. If you don't want to get involved, that's also fine, but it's really good to be in the know. And then you can escalate things, like if you want resources, if you want more things, you can escalate for this. There's also Council of International Graduate Students, which again, it does a lot of advocacy and a lot of programming that is there, which is career and writing supports. They work with graduate school right now, so that's also another place a lot of students can get involved. Again, like if you want more support, you can use these groups as your resources. And in your resource sheet, I put in all the information. You can reach out to them. Most of these students are very helpful. They are like kind of supporting each other, especially through the last year, seeing that they have been there a lot. So do reach out to them. Anything you need to get done, let us know, and we can also help you connect with them.
So there's lots of information, and you know, this is grads, is department level, grad SED is college level, COGS is university level, and all of the different areas have opportunities to be involved. And grants, we don't have so many grants. Well, we have not through the grads group, but we do have department-based grants for travel. Anna mentioned the Ruth Hall Travel Fund. That's an important one, and we will send out information about how to apply for that. It's very simple, and so we'll get that to you. But then you can get to college level, you can build. You know, it doesn't mean that they're not mutually exclusive, so you can find opportunities in multiple places. And each of the, and also, like, for example, NCFR, National Council on Family Relations, also has student support. So there are also ways to get support, and then they also have opportunities to get your registration lowered, and AAMFT probably has some support for students. There's just multiple ways, but it can get overwhelming, so just take it little by little and ask questions. Your advisor will know things and don't want to overwhelm you right now, but we wanted to expose you to it so that you know you can have some sense and lay of the land. I do want to point you to something that I think is really important, and that is to talk a little bit about advisor relationships. So if you will go to this document in the handout or in your packet, it's called Advisor-Advisee Relationship Workbook. And Alex, you should be able to access that in the Google Doc. Okay. And this is also available to you through that Google Doc. But and if you actually will turn first to these, this is called, I'm sorry that when I printed these that I did a little kind of creative. Okay, so there's something called important questions to ask your advisor. So if you go to that first, and then we'll go to the kind of the checklist tool. Let's see, Amita, would you get Armida a copy of that from one of the things that she has, and Shalandra as well, so they have that. This was written by, or created by one of our doctoral students who's ABD right now, Sloan, Oakley Anderson. They are also, they have a counseling background, and they, because of their own learning, they're very self-aware of their own learning needs. And so they said that it's really important for grad students to be self-advocates and to be proactive. And every advisor is different, every supervisor is different. But this is a way to have something that is like a tool to use. And first you have to know yourself. Like, what do you need? And then how, so I would probably ask the questions first of yourself. What do you expect from an advising relationship? So going into a conversation with your advisor, knowing what you need to be successful. And then asking for some of that, and then knowing what the advisor, how they operate and what they do. So you know how you can kind of meet in the middle. Because sometimes it's a matter of a miscommunication. Like, I really need to hear praise from my advisor. And they're not an advisor that gives praise very often. Or I need feedback more than you need to work on this paper, but you need more feedback that's concrete. Or I don't do well with feedback that says, you need to work on this. I mean, sometimes people don't do well with constructive feedback. There's some of it is also learning the culture of academia. You're going to get feedback. You come in and you're all really good. You don't get into a graduate program unless you have goals, but you also have intellectual capabilities. You have experiences that you all belong here. So you start here, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to give you some constructive feedback to help you get better. So part of it is you have to develop a little bit of I don't know, I guess the word is not a Teflon skin, but you can't be defensive when you get feedback. We just, Sam and I on paper, we got feedback on a paper from blind review. We go, okay, wait a minute, now you push back on several things. It was actually pretty good feedback. But sometimes you get pretty strong feedback. Anita's probably gotten some of that. I know Shalandra, we all get feedback. And because these ideas are so personal to us, we've invested so much, it can feel personal. But it's not, it's about how do we read this feedback that's really meant to make us grow. And sometimes you have to look at it or listen, set it down, walk away a little bit, and not take it personally, but it's about the work. How do I get better? Because this is why you're here. You're here to grow. And I think sometimes we're used to, because we're good at things, and that's why you're here. But if we don't give you constructive feedback, you won't get better. No, if it's overly harsh, that's not good. But sometimes we're a little fragile, and sometimes it's like what's going on in the other parts of our lives, but sometimes it's hard to take that. So you have to communicate that with your instructor, with your advisor, with your supervisor. How do you best get feedback, and how can you then use it? Some people will lean more heavily in one way or another. You just have to kind of get used to that relationship, communicate that. We probably never get over the imposter syndrome as academics. So you got to learn to live with it. Most of us, even to this day, I go, oh my gosh, they're going to understand it. They're going to find out that I don't know everything. And that's just part of being an academic, because knowledge turns over so fast. You're always learning, which is what's wonderful, but it's also kind of a scary place to be when you all of a sudden have to admit that you don't know everything. So it's just, you're going to feel it probably most intensely your first semester, but you belong here. You're here. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's also okay to express that and ask for help. Because, that's why we're here, Shalandra, Armida, me, all of us are here to support you to grow. But you got to let that kind of go a little bit. You're professionals in your own rights when you come into a program. And sometimes it feels like, oh, now I'm starting over and square one. But you're not, you're just adding to what you already know. And just know that we all recognize that, but it probably is like the focus is on developing this skill or that skill. So we may not always bring, I always laugh because my daughter is, a millennial and they praise everything. Millennials are used to being praised for everything. So it's like, oh, you went to the bathroom again, so, and then take a picture of it, there's a generational thing where my mother would say, oh, yeah, suck it up and they're moving. There's a different generation of kids and how you were raised, and there's not that one is better than the other. It's just kind of a difference in how we were socialized and raised. So if you've got a different group of people, and also your family, the ways that your family system, how you were used to getting feedback. But just know that we're here to support you, but also communicate back, I need this in order to be successful. And then we all need to, we meaning faculty need to adjust too. Sometimes we don't know what you need. So please be open about that. So I would really highly recommend, and I didn't do this last year, so this is my bad. So maybe say, oh, we're going to do this for this year. But there's on page, or the page 2. Instead of filling this out with your advisor, who should be responsible? Like you fill it out, ask your advisor to fill it out. And I'm going to recommend this to advisors too. We don't have this formalized yet. But then come in and say, well, like if I said that the advisor should do this, and my advisor thinks it's the student's responsibility, how can you talk about that to get to some agreement? Because there's some things that, you can't just assume that you're on the same page about. So if Sloan has put all of these things down, there might be other things that you should. And they've adapted it from something that was out from Australia, from University of Technology in Sydney. But there's some really good things here, I think, that you could go through. One of the I think is really important is that the advisor will provide emotional support and encouragement to the student, and then the student should expect to obtain emotional support elsewhere. That's a big important area. Is that what you expect your advisor? Some advisors are really good at that, and others, quite honestly, are not. But you can talk about it, and if they're not good at that, maybe you can think about who you can get that from, because if you need it, you need it. But if you expect your advisor to provide that and they maybe are not capable or they don't see that in your role, then you're going to have a mismatch. I will also just want to normalize that who you were assigned when you came into the program, that's based on research interests. There may be things that just don't work out for you. It's okay to change advisors. Just know that. And it's earlier on the better, because then once you're invested in kind of a relationship and a process, then the farther along you get in your program, the harder it is going to shift. That doesn't mean that you can't change later on, but really think about, is this the right fit for me? And what is it that I need from an advisor? And I remember, and am I able to get enough from that advisor, and then can I surround myself? I always love the African idea that, takes a village, right? So maybe somebody can't provide everything, but you need to get enough from an advisor relationship to make it good for you, because this is really the person that's going to guide you. So really take that seriously, figure that out. Sorry, I'm not used to talking through a mask, so getting short of breath. I'm going to do this for a little bit. But if you're running into problems, you can talk to Sumitra, you can talk to me, you can talk to Armida, work through it, but also talk to the advisor. I think that's your first. I mean, if you come and say, I need to change advisors, I'm going to say, did you have a conversation with your advisor? That's your first thing. Now, if it's toxic, if there's a toxic relationship, I don't expect you to handle that yourself. That's when your DGS is somebody that you can come to. I hope that won't happen, but it can happen. And so I'm not going to bury my head in the sand. So you also need to be sure that you are feeling supported. This is an important relationship in your role. Now, that supervising for an assistantship is a different role than you have with your advisor. Now, there's going to be overlap in those two roles, and that's what's a little tricky, quite honestly, because a supervisory role for an assistantship, that's a paid, you're getting paid for work and benefits from that, but there's also that you're learning from those assistantships. But there's also expectations that are different around that. So it's both what the, we don't want you to be in an assistantship where you're not getting some benefit from it, but you are also being paid, which is a benefit. So it's a little delicate balance. But there's power differentials. The faculty has more power in that relationship. So you are, it's just, I think we need to acknowledge that and realizing that you need to ask for what you need. If a faculty member in an assistantship, for example, is asking you to do something that you don't know how to do it, or if they're not giving you enough direction or guidance, please ask them for that. Don't go away and just not do it. That's the worst thing I think you could do. Don't answer emails or don't meet deadlines, or, we don't always know what you don't know how to do. Maybe we're making assumptions about things that we shouldn't, but please don't be afraid to ask for more guidance, for more time if you need it. But the worst thing you could do is not communicate about it. That would be I don't know if that would meet with what you also think. And it should go both ways. We need to also be communicative with you. But you can ask for, let's say, if that's one of the things I like about here. I think it's on the this one about how do you prefer to communicate? Is it best by email, phone, drop in? I give out my cell number, and I don't expect the texting to be the primary means of communication. But if I haven't answered an email that's urgent, sometimes a text will get my attention and say, would you please look at this because I need it. I've had that happen over the summer where a doctoral student need to get their IRB submitted, and you have to, the faculty member is the PI just by default. So, I needed to be fired. I was just not paying attention to it. So the student said, would you please look at that? I need to have that submitted. And I appreciated that because I was just not really tracking on it. Authorship is something that will come up, and we'll actually do probably some other workshops on this because that's always tricky. Authorship's negotiating authorship is always hard. What type of feedback on writing? I mean, comments, verbal, do you need meticulous editing? There are some of you that will have one particular faculty member that is amazing. Sorry, my blood sugar, I manage diabetes, so sometimes my blood sugar is low because I have a continuous glucose monitor. So you'll know that if it goes off in class, that's what's going on. But how are you expected to track your hours in an assistantship? are you expected to track hours? Are you, if you don't do 10 hours of work? You know, some people will expect you to maybe then be available for 10 extra hours, some extra hours later. But if, for example, for me, if I don't have work, that I don't expect you to bank hours, but you negotiate that, talk to people. When we have breaks, like for January, it doesn't mean your assistantship, you're still being paid over break. But talk to your supervisor, because, you know, we all need, like I'll say, you know, I don't expect you to be working during these periods because you need a break. I need a break, you need a break. But don't expect like for the whole month of January to be out, either as an RA or a TA, because there is work that needs to be done. And you're being paid. Again, everybody has a different philosophy about that. So please, that's on the assistantship side, talk to your faculty supervisor, because it will be different for each faculty member. I've said a lot, and we're coming into the time where we're going to have the break and then have some informal time. Any questions right now? We didn't go over lots of things that always takes longer. I put this in here, not as a joke, but this is reality. We sometimes think that, you know, we go from, this is what I'm showing. That it's like from day one to when you graduate, it's going to be just a straight line and you're just going to go. But the reality is that there's going to be ups and downs in your program. And just know that when you get to those down troughs, that there are people here to support you. You belong here. You are amazing. We want you here. We want you to be successful. And it's hard. Shalanda said that's not maybe what you want to hear, but we don't also hand out an MA degree or a PhD without hard work. Expect it to be difficult, but we know you can do it with the support. So we're here to support you. We want you to ask for what you need. Don't expect that people will know what you need, because each of you needs something different. And it's okay to ask for that. And you know, I'm probably going to be one of your biggest champions, but I'm also going to be hold you to some high standards. Because you don't want to leave without being pushed to be the best that you can be. And that sometimes can be uncomfortable. But it's okay if you take a second. Yeah, Miguel, I think sometimes second years will have some good ones.
Piggyback onto that, knowing that your academic journey here in school is going to be different from your peers, and not everybody's going to have the same. It's not a cookie-cutter experience. And I remember when I came in last year, there's 2 MA PhDs in my cohort, and I thought me and her were going to have a similar route and stuff, but we just have very different research interests and we do different things and projects. So at first I was like, oh my God, I thought me and Cynthia were going to be in this class doing this and this, but we just have different interests by nature on what we're doing. We end up going different paths. So don't feel like you need to compare yourself to your peers. Everybody has their own path they're going down.
Yes. And that's really good. And you know, I always forget sometimes that Miguel is a master's student. And sometimes you remind us sometimes that the expectations shouldn't be the same for a doctoral student and a master's student, but you're also kind of in a cohort. But we should remind people sometimes that, you know, I'm still learning this. We are all learning, but there are different expectations. So please keep that in mind. And sometimes you perform and you go, oh my gosh, you're performing at a higher level than maybe some of your PhD peers. That's just part of what happens. Sorry, this is really annoying. Part of what I deal with in life. That's a really good point, but it's apples and oranges. You know, your trajectory, depending on what you're career goals are was going to be different. And so that's the nice thing about these individual development plans. We're going to be using those more. So we're going to think of a kind of a career planning portfolio. So you can set out what your goals are, and they'll change over time, but we need to know what you are looking for, and then we can support you in achieving this. I know that there's a lot of things that we didn't get to. We'll unpack these in your orientation section. I have you in those of you that are first year students. I have you in the theory course, so some of these things we could talk about there too. But we'll also have some sessions about the program, so we don't expect you to know everything. But do read the handbook. Go online. That's your first line of information. So don't hesitate to ask Sumitra for logistical help and support. The forms, etc., are there. Any last questions before we move into kind of a social plan? I'm sorry that I'm running out of steam here. It's been a while since I've done this. And I'm an extrovert, so I feed off of this, but I don't know what's going on today. Okay, well, Sumitra, they're going to go down.
Couple of things for the before classes, so just make sure your email is set up and that you have things ready. Make sure all the things that, like, if there are some mandates from the university emails are coming in, make sure that you're like the vaccination and all those things, that you do that thing correctly, because if you are keeping it till the last minute and you're missing the deadline, then it's going to be so. Check your deadline. It would be a good idea to keep a paper plan, a small one at least, put the deadlines in and make sure to check it through. But do that, keep your youth card with you every time. All the buildings are having that up, so that is one thing.
Can we just email Anna for that, to let her know to give us access?
Yes, so you have to meet with Anna. The keys also, once your spaces are allotted, I think keys, Anna is the person. The resources are all there. Anything, just let us know. In case something is happening, some issues are there. If you know beforehand something is going to happen, just let us know. The advisor is me or something that we need to know so that we can support you better. Because sometimes, like at the last minute, there are deadlines and things. It's kind of like we may not know, but if you think that we need to know and we can help you with it, definitely do let us know. The earliest, if some things have to be there. What else? Yeah. Welcome to the court and hope you have a great semester.
And enjoy yourselves. This is really a time of your life. I remember at the beginning of my graduate program, I'd say, I will do this when I finish graduate school, but life goes on for these years and years, so don't put things off. I mean, life is, graduate school is life is graduate school. So figure out how to do things in a way that makes sense for you. And mental health is really important. Sumitra put some resources together for you, but please let us know if you're getting too stressed out. We'll help you with that. We want to support you. We want you to stay healthy, physically and mentally. So self-care is huge. Exercise, good nutrition, sleep. Get your brain rested. That's when I've been reading up on sleep. That's when your thoughts get together and feeling some good, you kind of integrate things when you sleep. So don't shut yourself on sleep. But we're glad you're here. Welcome. And let's go meet some other people. And we're here to answer questions. Thank you. Take care.
And if first year, go come back and here or whatever that slows down. We don't have to, it's a little bit later, that's fine.
Alex, I'll check in with you. I'm so sorry that this was kind of crazy for you. But it was wonderful that you were willing to zoom in, and if you want to look at, the recording, if it's helpful at all. But we didn't really cover everything, but we'll look forward to having you connect to us. And is Tim your advisor? Yeah.
Yeah, and I meet with him tomorrow, so I'm sure I can
He's
talk.
like super as an advisor, so he's on top
I've
of
heard.
everything. And, you know, we are really here to answer questions, so don't hesitate. You'll not ever be seen as bugging us or anything, but and my door is open if I'm here, so drop in.
Okay, thank you so
Take
much. I
care. I'm
really
so glad
appreciate it.
You came back negative, but take
Yeah,
care.
me too. Yeah, I will. I will. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I am not.